mission of our gang unit. It's uniform presence. They go out in marked cruisers in uniform, and it's gang suppression.
Officer Charles Pepper Constantino from the Lowell Police Gang Unit.
There really is no set routine. You know, different things come up every day. We do have areas that are considered hot spots for gang activity or drug activity. We try to make our rounds and check those places out every day. We try to do a lot of motor vehicle stops because guns and drugs and things of that nature go from point A to point B, usually by motor vehicle. It's a little thing that turns into the big stuff. Well, what we have here is some gang graffiti relevant to the different gangs that are in this neighborhood. As you can see right here, CK, and you'll see the C is crossed out. That stands for Crip Killer, and they cross the C out to disrespect the Crips. And then right over here, you'll have BK, which would be Blood Killer. So it's kind of like they're fighting back and forth on this wall.
Julio Gomez. My name is Mac 10 in the streets. Bloods and Crips is 5-point stars, 6-point stars. The Bloods are 5s, the Crips are 6. I've been in it 16 years. I'm not in the little rankings. I'm pretty up there, but I'm not trying to be the top dog. I never got out, so I never say I'm not. But I got kids now. I'm trying to do good. Every gang is, you know what I'm saying, sell drugs, guns, you know, stuff like that. Stupid stuff that, you know, you wouldn't think happens in life, but it does happen.
Did you ever kill anybody?
That I don't know. That I don't know. But I've done my share of things, and it's just my past stuff that I got to deal with. But I brought the newspapers to see if I did, though.
The only thing that we have proof of rehabilitation is age. As criminals age or get older, they tend to slow down and not commit as many crimes if they don't die first. The CBC, or the Crazy Brother Clan, also known as CMF, Crazy Mafia Family, they've been around for a while. They're more of a money-making enterprise now. The sale of drugs and firearms seems to be the big one, especially with them. I know for a short time they were producing their own ecstasy or their own ecstasy tablets and selling those on the street. I'm sure they have their hand in cocaine. Wherever there's money to be made, those guys are surely to be involved.
Linda Coughlin, detective with the Lowell Police Department. So on September 4th, 2008, I heard the initial call for shots fired. There was a second radio transmission that somebody had actually been shot. When I arrived, he told us that he'd been shot in the arm. We actually lifted up his shirt and saw that he had 2 bullet wounds, one in the upper arm and another in the chest. It started as a verbal argument between some of the younger kids. At some point, Richard Sam, who's our suspect, got involved. The house behind me is actually where he lived at the time. Richard Sam had a gun, and he began to fire into the crowd. We recovered 1 bullet from this particular apartment. If you look up here, this is actually the hole from the bullet that was fired. It traveled into the residence and came to rest inside a closet. He hit one gentleman twice. He's been wanted since 2008.
Richard Sam disappeared after the shooting, and that's why Lowell police won't stop patrolling these streets until they take him down, and why U.S. Marshals have also joined the manhunt. Sam was recently added to the Department of Justice Gang Tech Most Wanted list. He's now one of the most wanted gangbangers in the U.S. Richard Sam is full of tats, including Crazy Brother on the right side of his neck and one family clique scrawled across his chest like a collar. He uses the alias Jason Soram and has family in Philadelphia and Lowell, but he could be anywhere tonight. If you've seen Richard Sam, be careful, but call us at 1-800-CRIME-TV.
Whether it's by air or by sea, the Boston Harbor is patrolled end-to-end by the Massachusetts State Police. And this is Sergeant Mike Farley, heads up the fugitive unit. Mike, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, John.
Now, I know you guys go after the worst of the worst, and the top of your list is this creep named Paris Tillery.
Yes, it is, John. Paris Tillery's wanted out of the city of New Bedford. He assaulted his girlfriend with a knife and then kidnapped her. The next day, he returned, supposedly to apologize to her, found her talking to another guy, and became enraged. He left the apartment, returned with a firearm, kidnapped the girlfriend for a second time. The male had left by this point, and drove around the city of New Bedford looking for him. He finally saw him drive by. Tillery then cut him off with his car, got out, and shot him.
Wow, now this guy's ruthless, dangerous, no holds barred. He even jumped out of a window to avoid you guys, didn't he?
He did, John. He's a seasoned criminal, so he knew what to look for, and when he saw the cruisers responding, he jumped out a second-floor window and ran away.
Now, give our viewers some intel about this guy. What should they be looking for?
Paris Tillery, he's a muscular man. He's approximately 5'7" to 5'8", 170 pounds, and he has bullet wounds to his upper left arm, across his chest, and a 12-inch scar on his abdomen. He also wears Red Sox hats and is usually never seen without one.
Dangerous creep.
Absolutely.
We've worked a lot of cases with you. I hope our viewers catch this guy tonight.
Thanks, Sean.
Keep up the hunt.
Thanks.
She went and got the neighbors. The neighbors actually helped him physically get into the vehicle. They trusted her. They didn't really know the whole background of him and her at that point.
Now, here's the latest on the manhunt for the violent inmates who escaped from an Arizona prison 2 weeks ago. The three escapees, convicted killers Daniel Renwick and Tracy Province, and John McCluskey in for attempted murder, cut a hole in the perimeter fence at this facility in Kingman on July 30th. Cops say McCluskey's fiancée, Caslin Welch, had tossed them wire cutters, then hit the road with them. Cops took Renwick down in Colorado on August 1st after a brief gunfight. Earlier this week, authorities captured Province near a church in Wyoming. They say he'd split up with McCluskey and Welch, but gave up a lot of information on them. Now cops know the pair's not only armed, but has no intention of being taken peacefully.
I don't think this is going to end well for law enforcement and for them. This is just my gut feeling. When they consider themselves a modern-day Bonnie and Clyde, and they're freewheeling throughout the United States, killing people.
Unfortunately, that may be the case. On August 6th, police in Santa Rosa, New Mexico, discovered the charred bodies of vacationers Gary and Linda Haas in a trailer. Evidence found at the scene linked the escapees to the double murder. Here's what we know about the duo. U.S. Marshals say McCluskey dyed his hair and beard black, and Welch is now a blonde. McCluskey has several tattoos, including the word Arizona tattooed across his stomach. Welch is missing part of her right index finger and smokes her cigarettes with her ring and middle finger. They may be driving towards Canada in a 1997 Nissan Sentra and staying at campgrounds and truck stops along the way. If you've seen John McCluskey or Caslin Welch, be very careful. But don't be afraid to call us at 1-800-CRIME-TV. Nazira Cross's death certificate spelled it out in black and white. The 42-year-old mother had been killed. Family and friends say it was a mugging gone very bad. Originally from Costa Rica, Nazira, or Nasita as she was also known, had lived much of her life in Reno, Nevada. For nearly 8 years, she'd been married to her second husband, Mike Cross, before they divorced. A successful car dealer and entrepreneur, Mike had no idea Nazira had been murdered. And when she showed up at his house, Mike was not staring at a ghost.
Now that's because Nazira had faked her death to cash in on a life insurance policy she'd taken out with an American insurance company. When the insurance company got wise to Nazira's scheme and didn't pay off, she took off.
Nazira returned to Reno and claimed she was ready to enter Mike's life again.
I came to say I'm sorry. I made some mistakes, but I know how to fix them. Please, can I come in?
Nazira was back home, in a house she first set foot in when Mike swept her off her feet 8 years earlier.
He had gone down to Costa Rica, met Nisita right away. It was a shock to me that it happened so fast. Like I say, it was gone for a week. It was kind of hard to believe that they could fall for each other so quick.
She seems nice.
She is.
So what do you know about her?
Enough. Why?
No reason. She seems nice, but I just don't want to see you get hurt, buddy, you know?
Oh, I won't.
Well, taken.
I got her to sign a prenup, and she didn't have any problem with it, so...
He was a genuine guy. There was no phoniness about Mike. Once you capture Mike's trust, you pretty much have his trust 100%. At Mike's Auto Sales, the local dealership he owned, she was his office manager, so he trusted her financially.
I know this property in Costa Rica. It's a coffee plantation. We buy it, we can build condos on part of it. And my cousin Miguel can help us with everything.
Miguel, who I already lent money to.
You know how much it means to me, how much you've done for everyone. Plus, it'll be something we'd have together.
He made his money, and he also gave a lot of it away.
Okay, you make the call.
Nisita's family got an awful lot of help out of him. Residencies, homes, hospital bills.
Honey, maybe after breakfast?
Right from the start of their marriage, I thought it was all good.
This afternoon?
They were happy and they were in love, and I thought they were getting along great. As time goes on, of course, you know, with most marriages, things slow down a little bit. But he was always in love with her. I know that.
That love would be put to the test when Nazira allegedly began emptying out Mike's business account, stealing tens of thousands of dollars.
I think he was more embarrassed than mad because he was such a smart guy that you wouldn't think you could get that past him. But she did.
We were together all the time.
Mike was devastated and found it hard sharing the news with anyone.
How could you?
Even his own daughter.
We had lunch. You could sense it. It was really quiet. We didn't really talk. It's all about the money. I think it was building up over the years. You know, she found out what he had going for him. And it just took her time to really find out what she wanted to do.
Feeling betrayed, Mike quickly divorced Nazira, but didn't press any criminal charges. That's when Nazira moved back to Costa Rica and tried pulling off her life insurance scam. Now back in Mike's house, a place where she once called home, Nazira claims she had changed, but cops say she was up to her old tricks.
But I have a buyer from Germany who's interested in the coffee plantation. And he's willing to meet my price. And once you sign your half over to me, then I'll be able to make the deal happen. Then I'll be able to pay you back what I owe you. I want us to have a second chance.
This is an awful lot to take in, and I'm not feeling well.
Oh, Mike. Let me make you something. You relax.
But Mike's sickness quickly took a turn for the worse.
Hey, guys. It's Mike. You guys have to help me take him to the hospital. He's sick, very sick.
Did you call 911?
I don't have time. Please, come.
She went and got the neighbors. The neighbors actually helped him physically get into the vehicle. They trusted her. They didn't really know the whole background of him and her at that point.
Nazira never took Mike to a hospital. Instead, cops say she left him in the parking lot of a Walmart in Reno. Moments later, the store surveillance cameras caught Nazira buying nicotine patches as Mike was near death. When Mike's friends didn't hear from him and learned he'd never been admitted to any hospital, they began to worry and called police.
I got a message from Mike's cell phone, but it was Nasita on the phone. And he never let anybody use his cell phone. And she had told me that the police were down there, and so I went down to Mike's house.
He told me he had a mild stroke, but felt much better. So he didn't let me take him to the hospital. He wanted to go up to his cabin and see some friends. You know how Mike can be bored. He thinks he's Superman, nothing can ever hurt him.
She was totally different from what I remember her being. Very cold, very callous. Her story changed several times.
We're talking and
So cops brought Nazira in for questioning, and she made this startling admission.
I should have told
An admission that changed everything.
Mike died on the way to the hospital. I panicked, so I buried him up at the desert at his ranch. That's where he said he always wanted to be buried.
Authorities discovered Mike's body in a shallow grave on his property, right where Nazira said it was. Now they had to prove their suspicion that Nazira had murdered Mike.
How long have you known Nazira?
Bart Galloway would provide a key piece of information.
I called one of her friends, and she told me that a year before that, she had said that she was going to poison him and bury him in the desert.
When Mike's autopsy came back, the results showed he died from a toxic mix of barbiturates that authorities believed Nazira administered. Once Mike was dead, authorities believed Nazira had someone help her dig a shallow grave. And to make sure Mike was packed into the earth, she repeatedly drove over it. Nazira then fled Reno before cops could charge her with Mike's murder.
Now that's cold. Authorities still haven't figured out how Cross may have poisoned Mike, but various barbiturates were found in his system. And those nicotine patches Cross bought, well, she wasn't quitting the habit because she doesn't even smoke. Cops believe she put the patches on Mike to accelerate the release of the barbiturates inside of him. How evil is that? I'm telling you, this woman is as greedy and cold calculating as they come. Let's take her down tonight. Now, authorities believe Nazira Cross could be in the United States, Costa Rica, or Peru. She may be calling herself Nasita and has used the last name Ugalde. Cops also believe Cross may have undergone plastic surgery to change her looks. So if you've seen Nazira Cross, don't think twice about it. Call 1-800-CRIME-TV. Let's get some justice for Mike's daughter and his many friends who miss him so much.
He had a grenade. In fact, he had directed at least one person to plant the grenade under a mobile home that one of the people who owed him money was living in and blow it up.
The docks here in Boston are some of the busiest in the U.S., and obviously keeping them safe has become an important part of Homeland Security. Here in Massachusetts, Major Rich Pryor commands an array of specialized teams who monitor Port Authority. Rich, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, sir.
You got a big job here. Tell me a little bit about what you guys do.
Yes, sir. The state police, as well as the Massachusetts Port Authority and the Department of Homeland Security, routinely conduct inspections of vehicles as they enter and exit the port.
Now, obviously, the canine units are an important part of that security. What are these guys doing?
This particular canine is specially trained to sniff for narcotics. The dog will be taken around any exiting and entering truck that comes onto the property.
They could be looking for illegals, for guns, drugs primarily.
Yes, sir. Any type of contraband that comes on the port, these dogs can find.
You got a big job and you're doing a good one. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Obviously, what they're doing here is so important because high-level drug dealers will do anything to get their product in. Now, our John Lieberman has the story of one of these creeps who sells his disgusting product throughout the heartland. And
he is the #2 most wanted individual on the top 10 list, behind Osama bin Laden.
Tonight, Gary Karp is marking a sad anniversary. 8 years ago, his daughter was murdered in her own home.
This was something that I would never, ever in a million years thought would ever happen to me.
17-year-old Marissa was shot in the chest, stuffed in garbage bags, and then dumped in the Everglades. Police have never publicly identified a suspect.
She was a promising young adult, maybe a little bit misguided, but she didn't deserve to end up in a canal.
Gary's and to make that call. 1-800-CRIME-TV.
You know there's no way I'm coming to Boston without checking on the manhunt for mob kingpin James Whitey Bulger. This guy's wanted for more than a dozen murders, money laundering, extortion, you name it. Now, these docs played a central role in one of Bulger's alleged schemes, one that sent $1 million in weapons to the IRA, a group of Irish terrorists. Now, it's way past time to get this cold-blooded thug off the streets. And now the FBI is working on a new angle to do just that.
The new information involves Bulger's girlfriend, Catherine Gregg, who's believed to be on the run with him. Agents say she's obsessed with staying young, and they think that that could lead to Bulger. The FBI recently took out this ad in the magazine Plastic Surgery News, asking doctors if they've treated Gregg. She's apparently had a facelift, nose job, and breast implants, and may be looking to have more improvements done. The couple could be anywhere in the world tonight. FBI agent Rich Tehan knows that all too well. He searched for Bulger from the streets of Boston to Western Europe.
He is the number 2 most wanted individual on the top 10 list behind Osama bin Laden. If you talk to some of the people in the community, they will tell you that he was very charismatic, but on the flip side of it, he was also extremely volatile.
As head of the Boston's Irish Mafia, the FBI says Bulger ruled with a heavy and deadly hand, killing anyone who got in his way, mobsters, informants, and innocent civilians.
Did you see him for just that moment?
In the 15 years Bulger has been on the lam, he's generated more calls to our hotline and hits on our website than almost any other fugitive. So tonight, let's see if we can give the FBI the tip that will finally take him down. In addition to the information about Catherine Gregg's possible plastic surgery, here are some other clues that could help you spot Bulger. James Whitey Bulger is now 80 years old. He uses cash for everything and enjoys visiting libraries and historic sites. He used to have platinum blonde hair, but now he's almost completely bald. He's believed to be taking heart medication called atenolol, and notice the discolored front tooth. Now that's ironic, considering that his girlfriend, Catherine Gregg, is a former dental hygienist who has her teeth cleaned often. She loves animals, especially dogs, and frequents beauty salons. If you know where either Bulger or Gregg are hiding, you've got to make that call to our hotline, 1-800-CRIME-TV.
Michael, did you know America's Most Wanted was on you? Absolutely. What'd you think about that? I'm famous.
This is the face of evil. This person that just has disrupted my entire life and that of my family and friends for almost 3 years.
You know our partnership is designed to get victims justice. And it worked to perfection for one rape victim from right here in Massachusetts. She had the courage to bring her case to us. Your tips really came through when they caught her attacker. But she had to go through the other half of the justice process, the trial. I often call it the criminal injustice system. That part's never easy. And in her case, it took a very nasty turn that threatened to make her a victim all over again.
Your Honor, today I am seeking justice for the horrific crime committed against me by Michael Bresnahan when he broke into my home in the middle of the night, tied me up, and repeatedly raped and terrorized me.
This Massachusetts courtroom was supposed to be the end of a harrowing 3-year journey for this retired school teacher whom we'll call Mary.
There was the initial impact of the crime itself, the constant fear of a rapist on the run who threatened my life and might return at any time to kill me and my children.
Mary knew the trial of Michael Bresnahan, the man accused of brutally raping her, would be tough to endure, but she had no idea of how he planned to make his torture of her last a little longer. As a member of the garage band Lonesome Crow, Bresnahan hoped to make it big in rock and roll. He even loaded the internet with videos like these of himself playing the guitar. Clearly not talented enough to make a go of it as a musician, cops say Bresnahan turned to a life of crime. On August 30th, 2007, he turned himself into one of the most wanted men in Massachusetts when he randomly targeted a kind-hearted woman who taught school in the small town of Winchendon for 31 years.
When I went to bed that evening, I was sound asleep and woke up with somebody's hand over my mouth, telling me not to scream, that he wasn't going to hurt me. All he wanted was my money.
Unfortunately, that's not all Bresnahan wanted. For 2 hours, he brutally raped the defenseless woman, then left with a chilling warning.
He discovered that I had kids, and he said to me, if you go to the police, I'll kill you.
Mary was terrified, but her determination to get justice overruled her fear. She not only went to the police, she took her fight public, creating this website, FindMichaelBresnahan.com. But with no trace of him, she brought her story to America's Most Wanted.
If you know where Michael Bresnahan's hiding, call 1-800-CRIME-TV.
Your lead sent cops clear across the country to Cottage Grove, Oregon. That's where a local couple told us about a new arrival in town. An amateur guitarist calling himself Aaron Anderson. Anderson had dated one of their friends and seemed like a good guy at first.
He was really sweet to her for a long time, and then he started becoming abusive.
She told us that he beat her up.
But it was something Anderson said during an argument at this tavern that really set off alarm bells for his beleaguered girlfriend.
He made a comment to her that, you don't know me, I'm a very dangerous person, you don't want to mess with me.
Fearing what Anderson might be hiding, the woman snuck a peek into his wallet, took a look at his ID, and discovered that he was really Michael Bresnahan. She then went online, found him at amw.com, and told her friends. They're the ones who called in the tip.
Michael, did you know America's Most Wanted was on you?
Absolutely.
What'd you think about that?
I'm famous. You know you're a pinhead? What do you think of that?
Bresnahan's obnoxious attitude was more than matched by Mary's resolve to make sure he'd be put away for a long time.
First time that my children brought me back home, I looked around and I just said, there's no way I'm going to let him take all of this from me. Consensual. And I was like, consensual? That was the most bizarre, absurd, ridiculous thing I'd ever heard. I felt like I was on the defense. I had to now prove that I didn't have a relationship with this person.
Mary hoped the jury would see the preposterous defense tactic for what it was. Either way, when they came back with their decision, she stared right into her attacker's eyes.
This is the face of evil. This person that just has disrupted my entire life and that of my family and friends for almost 3 years, and brought us more harm and hurt than anything had ever happened before.
Then the jury spoke.
It was guilty, guilty, guilty. And, you know, we were all holding hands and tears welling in our eyes, and it was the most wonderful, wonderful thing. It was like our prayers have been answered. Justice is served here.
But there was still one more big emotional hurdle for Mary to face: sentencing. She wanted to make sure Bresnahan got more than a slap on the wrist, and she made that clear in the statement she read in court.
I respectfully ask that Michael Bresnahan be sentenced to the maximum for all 18 counts for which he was found guilty. I am terrified about what he might do if he is ever released from prison. I don't want him to ever inflict this harm on me or anyone else.
The judge clearly heard her, and he sentenced Bresnahan to the maximum.
There was just a new sense of freedom. It was like a rebirth. It was like the judge had given him the most unbelievable sentence. He will be 93 years old before he's even eligible for parole. And it was like, this is over. This is over. I don't have to worry about him ever again.
Mary, good for you. I'm so glad you really got some justice, that you stayed strong through it all, and that you can start over and move on with your life. Your strength for other victims is admirable. God bless you.
Tonight, the manhunt is on for Arizona prison escapee John McCluskey, accused drug lord Curry Tapia Martinez, accused Boston mob boss James Whitey Bulger, Richard Sam and Paris Tillery, both wanted for attempted murder, and Nazira Cross, wanted for murder. Cops are also looking for any information on who killed Marissa Karp.
Now, next week, we'll show you the story of the most violent and bloodthirsty gang I've ever heard of. They crossed the border from Mexico to terrorize and kidnap innocent U.S. citizens, committing multiple murders and even dissolving their victims in vats of acid. Now, before I say goodnight from beautiful Boston, I want to thank our good friends with the Massachusetts State Police. They do a good job in this state, and we couldn't have gotten this show done without them. Until I see you right here next week, please be safe, be strong, and don't forget, you